Hello, this is Claus Jensen presenting Game 6 of the FIDE World Chess Championship match between Anand and Gelfand. And in the previous two games, where Gelfand had the white pieces, we have had semi-slavs against 1d4. And was today to be any different? Well, I'm afraid not, because once again Gelfand opened 1d4, and Anand replied d5. And with c4, c6, we know that Anand has had no problems, so it's hard to blame him for making it a 3 in a row for the semi-slav. Knight c3, knight f6, e3, e6, knight f3, a6. And here, in the first two games, Gelfand played b3 in this position. Here he chose queen c2 instead. Then came c5 from Anand, c takes, e takes, bishop e2, and now the mainline move is knight c6, but Anand played bishop e6 here. Castles, knight c6, rook d1, and now a sharp line that has been played many times is knight b4. And if queen b8, then queen c8, intending bishop f5. And if instead queen d2, then knight e4. Knight takes, d takes, knight e5, c takes, e takes. And now it's white who has an isolated queen's pawn. But Anand didn't play knight b4. Instead he played c takes d. Knight takes d, knight takes d, rook takes d. And of course this recapture with the rook was planned already when Gelfand played rook d1. And the idea is to try to play against the isolated queen's pawn of black here on d5. Bishop c5, rook d1, queen e7. And now with bishop f3, we can see that d5 is attacked 3 times and only defended twice. And of course Anand could have defended the pawn with rook d8. But I know that Anand wants to put a rook on c8 and on d8. And this would not fit in very nicely to play rook d8 here. So instead Anand actually castles here, which is a pawn sack, because Anand thinks that he can give a pawn to have better piece play. And Gelfand takes the pawn. Knight takes d5, bishop takes, knight takes, rook takes, and now Anand can play the rook to the right file, and the threat after rook a to c8 is also a discovered attack on the queen. So it gives black a comfortable position, but of course we should not forget that he's a pawn down at this point. And how should Gelfand with the white pieces continue from here? Except for his centralized rook, he's having trouble getting his pieces into play. This bishop here is blocked by his own pawn, and this rook is also not activated at this point. And I think Gelfand chose a pragmatic way to solve these problems. He simply played bishop d2, giving back the pawn immediately to activate his pieces, and thereby also acknowledging that Anand's pawn sack was correct. Of course, Anand takes on e3 with a discovered attack on the queen, bishop c3 to block the attack from the rook on the queen, and bishop b6, and this looks very equal indeed. Queen f5 from Gelfand, and now Anand offers a queen exchange. He plays queen e6, and now an interesting question is actually if Gelfand can take on e6 or not, because queen takes e6, then there's a little tactic here. Bishop takes f2, and if king takes f2, then f takes e6 with check and attack on the rook is winning for black, but white has king h1, and after f takes e6, rook d7, then all of a sudden it's black who should be careful, because if he plays, for example, rook f7 here, then he's losing. Rook takes f7, king takes f7, and then we have rook f1 pinning the bishop. So there were a few tactics in this position, but Gelfand played queen f3 instead. And then Anand played f6, taking the sting out of the white bishop on c3. But all pawn moves is a weakening, and Gelfand played a move I liked very much as I watched the game. He played h4 here, with the idea to possibly undermine g6 and thereby create a weakened f6 pawn. And at the same time, h4 gives luft to the white king. So it was a nice move, but of course a nice move is not always enough in a otherwise completely equal position. Queen c6, and with this move Anand once again tries to exchange queens. h5, rook fd8, and now it's almost forced to play rook takes, and Gelfand has probably nothing better than to accept the queen exchange, queen takes, b takes. And now Anand has a couple of weak pawns. But as long as they are on light squares, they should be fairly easy to defend. Rook e1 came from Gelfand, king f7, g4, and now Anand plays bishop d4, offers a bishop exchange, and this should be a draw very soon. And we should note here that there's no possible pinning of the bishop, because rook d1 here would fail to bishop takes f2 check. So in the game, rook c1 was played by Gelfand, bishop takes c3, rook takes, and now comes a very precise move from Anand, rook d4. And in fact, this was the last move of the game. It was a draw for the 6th time out of 6 in this match. But let's have a look at a few possible lines in this rook endgame. For example, f3 here, then rook d1 check, rook d2 check, and rook takes b2 holds the game for black. And also rook takes c6, rook takes g4 check, king f1, a5 is holding for black. And the old saying that rook endgames are always drawn once a game becomes true. So thanks for watching this video, and please visit my chess website at klausjensen.com. Bye bye for now.